I left the Miller and Ross building, knowing I was coming back, but only temporarily. I headed to see Terrence because I had to act like I had an emergency and needed to be out of town. And of course I said, I'm not sure for how long, because I'm not sure what is going on. We kissed, and I got in the car. As soon as I hit the corner, I called Tony, and Tony hit up Ace, and we agreed to get some honey. When you are where we are from and are doing the things we did, everything is code, and what's understood doesn't have to be said. Honey was what we called our old spot. Tony, Ace, and I put money together to buy a multi-unit apartment building, and we always kept one vacant and fully furnished, just in case something happened, and we needed to meet up. Sitting at the spot, we laughed about the old stuff we did. Crazy isn't the word for how wild we were, but I told them I was about to do something wild this go around. See, the three of us balance each other well. Ace just wanted to know if I wanted him to shoot him. Tony was on the let it slide and move on tip, and I was on getting my lick back. We all agreed no one gets shot, and I could get as many licks as I wanted to. Let me be very honest with you. Getting my lick back looked a lot like Terrence's world coming crashing down in his face, and that's exactly what I planned. I was coming for every fiber of his being, and all I needed was one more piece to the puzzle, and that would put the icing on the cake, and I believed I had it. We sat for an hour and compared Terrence's calendar and his secretary's pictures and locations. Sure enough, every coded weird picture was when Terrence was supposedly out of town for business. I was able to get a hold of credit card statements and have copies sent to me, so it was easy to trace and highlight everything I needed for doomsday. Remember, the last piece of the puzzle I needed and felt I had? Well, the puzzle piece has a name, and it's James. About 2 months before my emergency leave, I was supposed to meet Terrence at his office, and coincidentally, he and his secretary was at a lunch meeting closing a deal. I already knew they were at a hotel because I had eyes on them, and they did this every week. I was just told to go to the office, and he'd be there as soon as he could, and James was there to let me in. I can guarantee Terrence never thought, what if Natasha did to me what I'm doing to her? If he did, he would have calculated James as being a possibility of betrayal, but he didn't. I made it to the office, and James let me in, and we had a quick exchange, and I recognized what I was looking at from the dinner. Something in James admired me, so he watched me. I saw the same small twinkle in his eye, and that's all I needed to see. That was my cue to address the elephant in the room. So, James, how long have you known Terrence was sleeping with his secretary? It was pretty amazing to hear how Terrence gloated about having me and his secretary. Then it was my turn to answer the question James asked me. How did I find out? His reaction was a smile, because he said he knew I figured it out the night we met. Then James begins to give me exactly what I needed to have him as a puzzle piece. I really didn't care what he had going on until I met you. Then I spent the whole night trying to figure out what the hell he was doing. Dude crazy because you're what a man needs. All I remember saying is, oh yeah. And James walked over and leaned in to kiss me. And not only did I not stop him, I kissed him back. This was the beginning of the thrill. I gave him my other number, and that sealed the deal. Terrence and his secretary showed up 10 minutes later, and I acted like I had to leave because it took them so long, and they looked relieved. I walked over to Terrence and kissed him on the cheek and said I'd see him later. That kiss on the cheek was the sign of betrayal, and it made my heart smile a little. It was kind of like Judas betraying Jesus with a kiss, except Terrence was more like Satan's little cousin, and I was Satan's little helper. So for the next 2 months, I came up with a lot of excuses of why I couldn't see Terrence. I'm tired, work was exhausting, and my favorite, not tonight Terrence. Every time I had an excuse for Terrence was the times I gave access to James.